Designing was we didn't know where to start or what we should do first. And so we draw a picture of the property, which is kind of rectangle shape, with the house in the middle. And so we thought we want to have a veggie gardens around the house, but not in front of the entry door. So the gardens are over here for growing veggies and over here. And this one should be more like a peace garden with lots of flowers around it. Flowers, flowers, flowers. You can see already that's starting to coming out. And then we have empty spots up here. And in the same time, Kama came around and said, oh, I need a space for making a fruit forest workshop. I don't know where to do it. So we thought, oh, she can use the top of the hill. And they created a wonderful plan, and we liked it. So we used that plan and just swapped a few of the fruit trees, which we didn't like, the ones we liked. And the whole top hill, the top of the hill, is fruit forest with lots of fruit trees. You can see them as you will go through it. And of course, fruit forest needs chickens and duck and bees. So that's all in already. And
look at a duck.
Yes. There is one duck. And we got lots of wind from the east side, so we had to plant a shelter belt. And then we had to plant a shelter belt on the bottom for the southerly and southeasterly as well. And we have found out that behind the house over here is a special microclimate, which is perfect for growing tropical plants. So we have created a subtropical forest there with bananas and lucuma, loquat, lots of things. You need to go and have a look then behind the house. And on the bottom there are plants which are kind of between deciduous and tropical plants, so like avocado trees, passion fruit. And once they all get bigger, we can plant the understory trees, but that will come a little bit later. And then there was, of course, path to the house where you just walk in, which is laminated, which is, what do you say? Edged with acidic loving plants, so lemons, limes, oranges, blueberries, strawberries. Yeah, so that's the design for the garden. And then it's 1 year old, most of the plants, so it's in the start, but some of them are doing pretty well. But some of them need a little bit more love. So shall we go have a look up?
Oh wow, what is that? A black tomato. I've never seen a black tomato. Oh, she looks really healthy.
And then there's a different kind of architecture with hives. The top bar hive, rather than stacked straight up, it sort of tends to go sideways. And so the idea here is that we've got a bit of a hybridization of the two hives. We've got the frames, but they're attached to top bars, these top bars over here. And so the idea is that the bees draw out their comb. They always hang it off the top like that, so they'll draw out their comb along here, and it makes manipulation of the hive a bit easier. You can get through the hive and actually you need to do inspections. You need to see what's happening in a hive. Sometimes they run into problems. Sometimes they get chocked with pollen. Sometimes they get chocked with honey. Sometimes they get diseases. They all get the mite, the varroa mite. So you need to get in there every so often and have a good look at what they're up to and help them along. Sometimes they do need a little bit of help. And this allows easier manipulation, and rather than just the top bar, the traditional top bar doesn't have the frame. So the bees literally just hang their comb off the top bar, and that makes it very difficult to manipulate. You've got to get it out really carefully, and you can't do that with it because it'll break. You get the comb collapsing, and then it's a huge waste and a big mess. So this does make it a bit easier, and it's a lot of conventional beekeeping. Put a layer of wax in here. It's called foundation. A layer of wax with a with little hexagons drawn out so that they draw out the cells from there. That way the bees make the correct worker cell size, and you get one cell size all the way through. If you leave them to their own devices, they'll create whatever size they need. They'll make drone cells, which are the big ones, as well as a variety of worker cell sizes. And there's a lot of arguments nowadays that say that bees really should be making their own cell size, that they seem to know what's best for them. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of beekeepers, and they all have their own idea of what works. We've sort of gone with a more natural setup. So we'll have a quick look at what they've been up to and just see if we can, a lot of propolis in there, it's great. See if we can just see what they've, the last time we checked this hive they were busy replacing the queen. So they were in the business of superseding the queen. They must have thought there was something wrong with her. So with any luck they have replaced her, and the new one is mated and laying lots of eggs now.
So the workers replace the queen?
The workers do all that. Yeah, they'll create a new queen cup, and they'll get the old queen to lay in the new cup, and then they'll raise a new queen, and then the new queen will hatch, and they'll have a little scrap, and then the healthier one hopefully wins.
I didn't know.
Sometimes the workers help it one way or another, apparently. I don't know, I've never seen.
What happens to the ex-queen?
So she gets stung to death, yeah. So it's pretty ruthless, really. Yeah. So they have stuck this down beautifully. So we'll just see how crazy all that is.
Have you seen this before?
Let's get them off.
I think I might
There we go.
feed it back too.
Probably get that one out.
Pongs, huh?
Too much fuss.
Yeah,
And so that's the outside frame. Just put that there, and then from here on in they're starting to draw out comb. And this one over here is, I hope I don't blunt your knife too much, Peter. But that one there is some new honeycomb.
Isn't it beautiful?
They've just started drawing that one out. It's really just the beginnings of that. And as we move in, obviously it'll get more and more drawn out.
How long has it taken to be like that?
It depends a lot on the temperature, the time of year, and the amount of nectar coming in. They'll only draw out new comb if there's new nectar coming in. So depending on what's flowering and what's happening, in spring they can draw out a strong hive. Will draw out one of those in a day. But you know, this time of year now they won't draw out much more comb. It's all kind of slowing right down. So they really are. This is a nicer frame here. If we can just split them. They stick everything down with a sticky substance called propolis.
Oh, that's what.
And the propolis is a great disinfectant, a sealant. It's very sticky and difficult to get off everything. The propolis is
that's so beautiful.
The propolis is this sticky red stuff up here, which they get off the buds of new plants and that. They collect that, and you can see they're just starting to cap a little bit of honey in here. There's a little bit of nectar in there, and so that's all going to plan, which is rather the idea from that. A conventional hive would have the boxes one on top of the other. So when you do inspect the hive, you're ripping the whole roof off, and the whole thing's exposed. All the heat comes out. Whereas with this, you've only really got a small area that's exposed at a time, just like that. And so just put that there for a second. And with a smaller area, they lose a lot less heat, obviously. And it's they don't get quite as upset either. This is a very docile bunch. They were right from the start. They started as a very small swarm. There's a lot of honey in there. That's starting to feel a little bit heavier now. You can see that's all capped honey. So this honey over here is already sealed up and good for a few thousand years now, and they're still working on that.
So when you want the honey, what do you do?
So in this hive, what you do is you just cut that whole frame out into a bowl, get a potato masher, smash it all up, and strain it through some muslin, or if you've got a strainer, it's handy. And you get a lot of wax off there too. Around. But you see the bees down here are doing something called festooning down here. They're all hanging. They're thinking about drawing out more wax. They do that when they're thinking about new wax. But there's a lot of drones in here and not enough workers. She doesn't know. Doesn't know.
And they all hang around you, don't they?
Oh no, not really. They outside, but more when you can see them. I've been able to see her so far, and she won't be on any of these outside ones, I don't think.
Yeah, we're Maori, WA, AU.
What does it produce?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
But it grows like crazy.
Ah, and it's a lovely colour.
It's good, you know, I mean, biomass, green crop, whatever.
What is it?
Faux. W-H-A-U. Aiden loves them.
W-H-A-U. Oh, is it?
Yes.
But I just took off all the manky.
Yeah, just so
Too far to...
But do you want some seeds?
Yeah, well, I'll go.
And so there's a way to deal with corn. So traditional cultures that have been working with corn for a long time, they have this interesting thing that they do. So it's called nixtamalization, I think. So that the first thing is to get wood ash. So this is just wood ash straight out of our wood burner inside. And what I did yesterday was I filled this jar, quarter filled with the wood ash from here, and then I filled this jar up with water to the top, and I scooped off any charcoal and big bits that floated to the surface, and then I just let it sit for not long, probably less than an hour, so that the ash settles to the bottom, and what you end up with is very, very alkaline water called lye water or ash water. And then I took 2 cups of this corn, and I stuck it in a pot with 2 cups of the ash water, which I just tipped out of here, and 2 cups of normal water. And I cooked it for half an hour, so boiled it for half an hour, and then I turned it off and I let it sit overnight on the stove. And this morning I turned it on to boil again, and then down to a simmer. And I cooked it until it looked like this.
Could you do that in a slow cooker?
I don't know. Be worth a shot? Possibly, yeah. So, there's a little bit of hair in there, sorry. Oh, okay.
So they are available.
You can buy them.
Years ago.
Yeah.
They have to salt their own salt.
Well, I've been looking online and they've
You've salted it.
Sprinkle some salt in.
Oh, I was going to do that.
And do you use the that ash again?
No.
Yeah.
So just swap out this container up and you guys go? Go for it.
That's all right. Do you just dry do it? Do you just do it dry or do you do oil?
Just dry.
Yeah, it tastes like the favourite part that you usually put anyway, that's all for each one, sorry. It's the stuff that sticks to the pot. That's what it tastes like.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, voila.
ABC. And then on both sides?
Yeah, just before it burns. This stuff burns. Easier. So
That's the skin, right?
yeah, that's the skin of the corn. I'll grab that a flip now.
Flip.
Yep.
Good flip.
So feel how it's. I could have done a little bit longer, but it's pretty much cooked. There's a couple of wet spots, but it kind of gets
Because you
this
actually wouldn't
less
want it
sticky
to
feel.
be... You wouldn't want it to...
Okay. Go for it. You can film your hand.
When you eat them, they should be pretty dry.
Very good with butter on them. I'll just rip a bit off.
Yeah, no, start
I'm going to
shriveling.
bring this plate out.
Because we came across this article or the thing about these heritage tomatoes that he was having tested for their lycopene content, and he did a study, or a study was done, and I think there was 4 or 5 or 6 that came out head and tops above any of the others, and they were heritage seeds he'd got from America, and he grew them and had them tested, and they're orange, and he thinks from
you know, the research he's done that the original tomatoes were orange. So he kind of wasn't that surprised that these orange ones would end up having these really high lycopene content, which is an anti-cancer compound, what helps protective against cancer. So I grew we had 4 varieties, I grew all 4. One of them I wouldn't recommend, so I haven't saved any seed from that. And the other 3, one got psyllid quite early, and so I didn't actually,
It was ready to go. We tickled one out and it was about that big.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think they're pretty good. The cucumbers that we've got, we're all, that's my cucumber seedling bed just there, that little grey fencing. And I grew roughly close to, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 out of a year.
Definitely that
It was a massive amount. I gave them away to so many people. And it was a big success. And they were cucumbers that I'd saved from growing this year previous.
You can mix it.